Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Jason, and it is roughly 5:20 a.m. here at Friday Harbor in Washington. I'm in the EH-101 big helicopter, and just at the airport here. I think someone's coming in now. Yeah, that one out there should be coming in right now. Be kind of cool to see him land. As we get into his landing lights are on now. He's following standard procedure, not like I do, but I'm in the door of the helicopter right now, and I'm gonna kind of watch him come down. We'll go ahead and go inside and start the helicopter and fly around a little bit. That's a hard landing. Bounce, bounce. Not too realistic for the computer models. They treat them like rubber balls. But, well, not a bad program, and it's relaxing anyway. The piano you're listening to is something that I did a few years ago. Just kind of put in the background there. Hope you like it. So, in entering the cockpit when it's dark like this outside, the first thing you want to do is turn on some lights. That would be the overhead lights, kind of dim, and panel lights. Actually, the first thing you want to do is put on the battery, and I didn't do that. So technically the lights shouldn't come on, but this is not a great model. So, tell you what, I'll just go ahead and get in the pilot seat. And get comfy. Okay. This is about where I need to be flying this helicopter because it's not easy to see out. Okay. If you're having a problem hearing me, it's because I don't have my headset on properly. Let's go ahead and get that on now. Alrighty, how's that? Okay, so startup procedure for this particular vehicle is simple for the model. In real life it's a little more difficult, but they made it really simple here. Normally I would put on the auxiliary power unit battery, auxiliary power unit, that's on. I've got to charge up that power unit. Okay, it's on now. I would then turn on the fuel for engine 1, and I would hit the igniter. In this case, it doesn't do anything. The ignition switch doesn't do anything because the master switch is not on. The problem is when I hit the master switch, it turns all of the fuel pumps on for each tank, and it ignores the fact that the ignition switches are off. So we're just going to have to act like it's part of the procedure and just do it. It's rather irritating. Technically, I could do that, but see, then it goes off. Okay, we got one engine on, sweet. Now I wonder if I can do that with another. Ah, see, it kills it. So stupid. It turned off the other one and turned on the other two. It's backwards. the other two are on. If you notice, the two are on. 2 and 3 here. Engine 1 is not on. I've got to go back. Sort of engine 1. The helicopter can fly. It can go aloft without all 3 engines on. However, we're not going to do that. Now, technically, I have to restart them all, just because it doesn't. I can't go back, which I could technically go back in real life and start this up, but it won't do it here. This igniter is ignored by the computer, so still the generators. RPMs are up, so generators can come on. The auxiliary power unit is on, but it doesn't need to be on right now. And I've got to start over again on everything. So, see now, just did that. So stupid. It's really ignorant why they did that. Just make it easy for everybody. Just make it on one switch. Yeah. I'm going to kill the generators, and the battery, and the APU. Let everything go back down to stasis, and do it all over again. Takes a while for the rotors to wind down. Kind of frustrating. I would use the rotor brake here because it looks cool, but it doesn't let you hold it, and it doesn't really slow them down anyway. I want to say that actually helped. It's never helped before. Okay. Alright, let's try to make it look as realistic as possible. Batteries on, APU masters on. We're going to start the APU. And there we go. Put the ignition switch, all the ignition switches into on. Start up with fuel. All 3 engines now are spooling, igniting fuel, and there we go. Off the APU, and I can let that run. Just let that run. The ignition switches can go into the off position. The warning light you see ahead of you there is because the ARC is telling you to look at the indicator panel. The indicator panel light shows that there's a low rotor RPM. The rotor has not gotten up to full rotation speed, which is normal right about now because I just turned the engine on. to see details when I'm looking at it at this particular zoom. This is half zoom. If I were to look at it at full zoom, it'd be more realistic, of course. Full zoom is here. And this would be more like it, but I can't see what I'm doing. In a helicopter, I need to have everything what I'm doing. In the plane even, I can't look at everything at this view. But at this view, nothing is distorted. And it's absolutely fantastic. But I can't fly the helicopter like this, because I can't see what I'm doing. So I've got to zoom out to the farthest setting, which is more like a fisheye. But at this point, what's in my center view becomes distorted, becomes small, and as whatever that is moves to the sides of my view, it gets larger. So the sun is coming up over there, and my RPMs are almost at full. This particular model uses an automatic throttle system. It does have hover assist and hover trim and all that kind of stuff. So it's a really decent craft. That's why it's used for rescuing. It makes it really easy when you're trying to land this on an aircraft carrier, a battleship, or if you're hovering over water trying to rescue someone. It comes in really handy. All of these little computer devices. However, in this case, I don't have those tools at my disposal. So all of my hover trims and basically autopilots are unavailable to assist me in flying this thing. I fly it like I would a standard Bell helicopter, which doesn't have anything like that at all. So, the sun is getting up here. Let's just take off. I wanted to describe to you some of the ways the helicopter is different than flying a plane. Show you some of the control systems here, the control inputs. This is the this is called the cyclic. As you can see, my feet are on the rudder, and it moves the helicopter. Those operate the tail rotor, the thrust in the tail rotor. There's left thrust in the tail rotor. There's right thrust in the tail rotor. If I want left thrust in the tail rotor, it turns the craft to the left. If I want it to the right, it turns the craft to the right. If I pull back on the cyclic, it puts thrust towards the front of the main rotor, down. And that pulls the nose of the craft up. Okay, you see it kind of leap forward a little bit, just a little bit. If I push forward on the cyclic, that puts thrust on the rear of the rotor, down, which puts the nose of the craft down. Maybe I'm not describing that properly. In flying a helicopter, when you're operating the cyclic, think of this as the rotor control. This is not the body's control. This is not the craft control. I'm actually tilting the rotor, but the rotor doesn't tilt necessarily the way that the blades, the angle of the blades is affected by how I move this cyclic. The angle of the blades is important because, like a fan, they're blowing air down, and I can control where on the rotor the blades blow down. See? So when I pull back, I'm making the front of the rotor, the front of the blades, when they come towards the front of the craft, making that area blow down. When I push forward on the cyclic, the back of the rotor is blowing down. And likewise side and side, and anywhere in between. So I'm controlling which part of the rotor is blowing down, and that tilts the craft. Because if I'm pushing down on the left, the craft will tilt to the right. If I push down, if the rotor's pushed down on the front, the rotor will tilt to the back. See what I mean? Okay. This unit here is called the collective. Okay. What that does is it determines overall how the rotors are tilted. So if I need to lift up, then the rotors have to have, all of them have to be helping by angling in a certain way to lift the craft up. So you want more air force going downward to lift the entire craft up. So this collective, in conjunction with this cyclic, will lift the craft in a certain orientation, depending on how you have them maneuvered, okay, manipulated. Using this will help turn the craft, though you can turn the craft by simply tilting it. As you tilt the craft will reorient itself to nose into the direction you're tilting the craft downward. That's complicated, but the helicopter is complicated. The only way to really show you is to fly it and kind of describe to you as I fly. Let's I don't have access to my my landing light from my panel, so I can't access that now. It's not necessary. It's bright enough outside. So to take off in this big helicopter, what you do is you pull up on the collective just a tiny bit, just a hair, and you watch the craft kind of raise up. You see that? Okay, raising up just a little bit. It's pulling the back of the craft up first because the main rotor is angled a few degrees towards the front. So to compensate for that, what I had to do is pull back on the cyclic just a little bit as I lift up on the collective, and that brings the entire craft straight up. You see what I mean? Because now the front of the rotor is blowing down. So what I want to do is kind of give it some lift, some collective, and pull it back on the cyclic, which raises the nose up off the ground. I don't want it too far up off the ground, but I want to level the helicopter so that when I give it full lift, it comes straight up rather than going back like it's doing right now. It's hard with this joystick because the joystick isn't perfect. It has a huge dead zone. So right about here is where I want to be. And when I pull up on the collective now, the helicopter will go straight up. Come on. Joystick, my stupid joystick. Let's try this again. Okay, as I lift up on the collective, I'm going to pull back, twist the helicopter here, get it straight again, and I'm trying to do it slowly to show you. Okay, we're going straight up rather than back. There's a bit of a wind, so it's blowing me to the left, as you know, so I've got to compensate for that by leaning the craft, or leaning the rotor to the right. Now, if I had all of the automatic assists, it's blowing. The helicopter's actually blowing. I've got my gear down still, and the wind is blowing from that direction, so the helicopter's trying to, I've got to tilt in that direction, which means the helicopter's trying to reorient itself into that direction. Like I said, the helicopter will lean in the direction the rotors are tilted. So if I tilt the rotors this way, you'll watch the helicopter kind of turn into that direction. And it's not doing it, of course. But let's just take off. I've given it some more collective. And you see the helicopter is now turning into the direction that I have the helicopter tilted. Try to give it some left rudder there. Up so I can see where I'm going. Gear up. I want to fly over the runway. Looking at images of Friday Harbor, it's a beautiful place. It is. There's a lot of country like this. However, there are also a lot of village-like places. It's really a small town feel, really pretty. Don't know if I'd want to live there. It's a waterfront town. Waterfront place, of course, most of that is. It's on the coast. This is really difficult because I need to look around and also need to manipulate the collective and the cyclic at the same time. So I have to use both of my hands. Looking around is rather difficult because that's the use of my left hand on the mouse for the simulator. But flying this helicopter, or flying a helicopter period, you don't have the option really of letting go of the collective to look around with your hand. You have to maintain control of both inputs at the same time because the helicopter doesn't have a steady throttle. Okay. You can't just put the collective in a certain place and expect the helicopter to stay there. It won't do that like a plane will. I'm descending a little bit, so I pulled back on the cyclic, which will lift the nose of the craft up. Take a look at this boat, wherever that is in the water. I'm now dropping the collective a little bit and manipulating the cyclic to give you a view up on the collective, back on the cyclic. Zoom up on the collective are pretty low, and to the right on the cyclic. I don't want to go over the trees, I just want to go this way. Now what I'm doing is giving it right cyclic, and now I'm going to pull up on the collective, which gives it a lot of force to the direction that I was leaning. So it's like a slingshot. If I simply tilt the copter in this direction, I pull back on the cyclic, and I get a little turn. Okay, you can see the sailboat there; it's pretty. Another boat over here, kind of low. Wouldn't be too low. See if I can describe that to you here in a minute. What I was talking about the movement of the copter. I hope you can hear me. I'm trying not to talk too loudly, but I don't want to talk too quietly either. It's a poor model of the boat. From far away, it looks great though. So I'm giving it about half collective here. Just pulling up on it, and I'm not using the rudder. That's just the way I've tilted it. So the helicopter is reorienting itself. There's sunrise, though if it is behind the clouds, the water in Flight Simulator always glares no matter where the sun is at. Whether it's behind a mountain, a cloud, or whatever. So I'm giving it some forward cyclic now. And as you can see, the helicopter, it wants to level itself out. You notice that? I haven't stopped pushing forward on the cyclic, but the helicopter's kind of gone level. If I push forward again, you see it tilt, and you'll see it kind of flatten out here in a minute too. It's going down, but it's still trying to level itself up because the weight of the copter wants to adjust for the tilt of the copter. Little collective up. What I'm going to do is tilt hard to the left and pull up on the collective really hard. And what that does is, as I do that, I twist the copter and pull back on the cyclic at the same time, and it jerks the copter around like a slingshot. It really does an awesome job at turning really fast. So that's how you turn really fast in the copter. It's kind of like in a plane when you go down and you make a hard turn. Pull back really hard while you're in a bank, and it'll slingshot you. But in a helicopter, you can kind of do it a lot faster because you're putting thrust in the opposite direction than you want to go, and that jerks you around to the direction you want to go. You can't do that in a plane. You could technically do that with flaps, and it pushes the air downward in the opposite direction you're trying to turn if you're doing a hard turn. But your turn is still much broader than a helicopter. This one's a powerful one, so. Alright, let's see. Let's land over here. This little patch of grass. What I'm going to do is pull back on the cyclic and drop the collective a little bit to maintain a level orientation. I've got to manipulate the collective up and down. As you can see, my speed dropped considerably. That's how you slow down. You have to pull back on the cyclic and gear down. You let the collective down, because if you don't let the collective down, as you pull back on the cyclic, you'll go up. Doing about 20 knots, and that's perfect. I want to make sure that I don't come down too low near these trees. And this is a hill, so what I'm going to do is kind of go over here to the top of the hill before I touch down. Touch down yet. I'm manipulating the cyclic forward and backward just to kind of get an idea of keep the copter steady. Okay, I'm gonna pull back on the cyclic now and drop the collective slowly. That'll put me down right where I want to be. I'm hitting the brakes now to stabilize it on the grass, and that's how we do it. Now, if I'm on the ground and I want to spin around, in a plane you have to go forward to spin around. Oh, well, technically you could turn on one engine, one side of the plane, and turn the rudder to the right, or to the opposite direction, and go. Now, what I would do in the helicopter is give it a little bit of lift and use the rudder, the tail rotor, to spin it around. See, I'm giving it left rudder now. This can be done really fast, but you got to be careful because I'm on a hill. And I've got objects behind me that I don't want to hit. So I'm just spinning around nice and slow. And as you can see, I'm going downhill now, and so it's going faster. So what I'm going to do is actually use that momentum to take off with again. And as I go forward, lift is created over the blades. So I can just kind of take off at will. Nice and easy. It's a powerful copter. Gear up. Right through the clearing that I came in then. The clouds are very believable here. I'll tell you what, let's shoot straight up into the clouds. See what that looks like. My forward speed will be rather slow, but I'm tilting it forward here, and I'm just putting all the way up on the collective. You might see the low RPM indicator come on, because I've got full collective now. As you can see, there we go, warning, low RPM, see? I held the cyclic forward a little bit to give myself some forward speed. We're doing 140 knots, I'm going down to 130 knots. We're climbing rather rapidly, as you can see the indicator on the right of my panel. That's my altimeter. I guess I'm at 2300, like 2400. It's windy up here, and so I'm losing some control. Got to still moving forward at a pretty decent speed. But that altimeter is, yeah. See, my RPMs are saying it's low because as I pull the collective all the way up, that puts maximum thrust from the rotors downward, which slows down the blades. It slows down the spin of the blades, just like any fan would. And I've got to compensate for that. And if I can't, by speeding up the engine or taking engine speed, then my climb will not be as fast as I want it to be or as I expect it to be. Now I've got to be careful with that, because I may not be able to clear an obstacle that's in front of me if I need to go over it. You see what I mean? We're now in the clouds. See how quickly we went up? I'm at, what I'm at now, 6,400 feet. No. Let's see. Yeah, 6,900 feet. That's how quickly this thing climbs. We jumped really quickly, 4,000, almost 5,000 feet in just a few seconds. That's how powerful this thing is. So I'm going to level off here, I guess I can go over the clouds. This helicopter can handle it. I'm still moving forward at 120 knots. So that's pretty fun, but it's awful windy up here. It's a lot more weather up here than it was down there, just because I'm in the clouds. As you can see, the craft is shaking. This helicopter can actually chase. It can give chase to particular planes, smaller planes, propeller-driven planes, of course, not jets, but it's an awful nice thing to have if you're in need of chasing someone. You don't have a plane, or you need to chase them and then maybe rescue them. There's actually a mission on this program that allows you to do just that, and it's really cool. Got a lot of turbulence up here, and as we clear some of this, it might clear. I'm going to. We're climbing, but we're climbing very slowly now. This helicopter has a high ceiling, but because my RPM is being affected, my rotor RPM is being affected, I'm not climbing it as rapidly as I could, but I am still climbing. Looks like we're at 10,400 feet. We're just on a continual climb. I'm going to pull back on the. I'm going to let the side of the collective down a little bit so we can stop climbing. Let the RPM increase a little bit, and I don't want to stress the vehicle too much. And as it is usually when I fly, when you're up this high, this elevation, it's rather boring. So I'm gonna, despite all the turbulence, I'm gonna spin the helicopter around here with a little left rudder. I've got to reorient it by giving it also a little left cyclic. So I'm tilting the cyclic to the left because the winds are high, and I'm also using the rudder to twist it to the left. I'm still moving forward at 80 knots indicated. And as I spin the helicopter, the nose dives, so I've got to be careful with that. I don't want to move too much faster forward. I'm going to manipulate the collective down a little more because I'm still climbing. I don't want to climb. And we're going to go forward again. We're doing 100 knots now. This helicopter is capable of traveling safely at about 160 knots. More than that, and you risk a lot, especially with the turbulence up here. But I'm going to push it just to show you. So we're going down now. We're descending in through the clouds. I'm going to take you through these clouds. We've got a really heavy tilt here, and I don't want to tilt too far because that can become unstable. We're descending really fast. I don't want to go over speed. It's almost happening here. Because we're descending, the helicopter wants to tilt as far forward as it can. So I've got to compensate by pulling back on the cyclic, doing 140 knots now, descending rather rapidly. That's open ocean out there, that's all Pacific, so I'm going to kind of pull back on the cyclic and tilt it to the left as well, keep me over the mainland. It's all Washington. Got to pull back on the cyclic again because we're descending so fast. The craft wants to dive, and I don't want it to dive. It's rather choppy up here. I'm going to let down some of the collective. There's a runway up ahead. It's pretty far ahead, but let down the collective a little more. As I do, the craft wants to orient itself, tilted forward. I've got to really fight that, and it's tough up here because there's so much turbulence. But I'm going to see if we can set down maybe at that runway. We're kind of high for that runway, but with the helicopter, it's different than a plane. I can come straight down rather than having to fly out and over and around. as safely as possible. I'm less than half the collective now. And if you look at the clouds, you can see that we are descending. If you look at the altimeter, we're also, you can see there we're descending as well. The runway should be dead ahead of me, but it is a runway only. I don't think it's an airport. I don't think there's a helipad there. But there wasn't a helipad at that when we took off from here. Really turbulent. Let down the collective a little bit more. We're doing about 65 knots indicated. And letting down the collective a little more because we're descending so slowly. We should probably be out of the turbulence here in a minute. Literally a minute. We're down to about 40 knots now. I've slowed the craft down considerably. And what I want to do is go straight down, which is difficult because I can't see anywhere else. And the winds are making me tilt. Gave it a little left cyclic. We are now at 6,900, 6,800 feet. 67, 66. Oh, a lot of wind. A lot of wind. Doing no speed forward here. And I think we're going backwards, so I'm just gonna, which is why we're spinning around so easily, because when you're sitting still, the winds can spin the craft very, very easily. The craft doesn't have any aerodynamic stabilization. You get that when you move forward. Go up to about 20 knots here. 4,900, 4,700, 4,600. There are airstrips on every one of these islands. Well, it's a big enough island anyway. So there's an island that has a really tiny one. It's a tiny island and it has a very, very tiny airstrip. Now the airstrip that I saw earlier is beneath me. So I'm just gonna, I'm giving it forward and right cyclic, and I'm twisting it, giving it right rudder as well. As we descend, it should be right about, see how easy it is to tilt the craft forward. I don't want to do that. That's not the airstrip that I saw, so it might still be behind. Yeah, you know what? I think that's the one. That is the one. That's the one that we took off from. So we basically just came back to it. Does that mean there's one over here as well? We're still descending, but very slowly. We are at 2,900 feet and descending 26, or rather 28, 27. We're doing 20 knots forward, 25, 4. 23. It's hard to see it. A lot less turbulent up here. Yeah, the problem with this is I can't see beneath me very well because I can't move my head very well. So what I'm going to do, as we descend, I'm going to turn around, and I think there's another runway out in there. Am I wrong? There's still a little water around me. There it is. That's the one I saw. We were right over it the whole time. That's a strange one. So let's go over there and investigate it. See what that's about. Forward cyclic. We're still descending, and as I push forward, you'll see we will descend faster. But as we move forward as well, the forward motion over the rotors gives it lift. So it kind of is going to slow us down here a little bit as far as our descent speed. So I've got to drop the collective a little more. And I'm going too fast. Put my wheels down. I don't think that there would be a dirt island out here in the middle of Friday Harbor. So this might be an incorrect example of the area. But I've never been there. So I don't know for sure. Going really fast. We're doing over 100 knots. I'm just going to slow down by, of course, pulling back on the collective, or rather on the cyclic, and letting down the collective a little bit. And this is like a dirt runway. Okay. Manipulating both cyclic and collective. See how quickly we can slow down. Complete dirt runway. I don't want to get in the way of the runway, so I'm just going to let down here. Nice and slow. Okay. Doesn't even look like Washington State, does it? It's like desert someplace. Not the best rendition, but whatever. Let's go back to the runway we started at. It's to my right, so we'll just kind of tilt the cockpit to the right, lift off, and I'm letting go of the cyclic. I'm giving it right cyclic now, because as I give it collective, the copter will reorient itself. I've let go of the cyclic again, and it's reorienting itself to the tilt, the direction of the tilt. Okay, there's our runway over there. The lights. Coming down on the collective a little bit. Don't want to go too high. Doing 100 knots forward. Let's fly right over the trees. Pulling back on the cyclic, up on the collective, just a little bit, not too much. Pulling back on the cyclic, up on the collective. Manipulating both. Now, there's a mall. That mall looks like is it coming in for a landing? It's lined up with the runway, so I'm going to stay clear of the runway. I don't want to go and get into a collision with that craft. Pull back on the cyclic. I think he is coming in for a landing, so I'm going to leave that alone. And I'm just coming down the taxiway side here, just out of his way. At 100 knots, like we did before, we're going to slow down really rapidly by pulling back on the cyclic and letting down on the collective. Okay, I'm going to push forward on the cyclic a little bit so I can get some forward movement. I don't want to land here. As I slow down, the lift over the rotors, which are basically wings, the lift decreases and it tends to make me go down even faster, so I have to be careful with the collective there. As you approach the ground, you have to give it more collective, otherwise you will drop like a rock as you slow down your forward speed, as you lose your momentum. I'm still aloft, and I'm going to pull back on the cyclic a little bit and take the position over here next to the fuel box. Literally hovering over the ground at a distance of probably 4 or 5 feet. But we're here, we're safe, and did that mall land? Still coming in, I guess. Maybe it's going into a different runway. I don't know. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Collective is all the way down. The cyclic is free and clear. Going to shut down the engine systems. 1, 2, 3. Let the generators run. The auxiliary power unit is off. I'm going to turn it off here. Master switch is in the off position. I'm going to turn off the panel lights and the overhead light. Turn off the generators. Battery will remain on. A lot of lightning, right? I've got it set to brewing storms, basically. And there's that mall that's coming in. Maybe we get a chance to watch it land. It's only 2 miles out. I think we can watch it land. Lights are on now. I like this piano because it can be looped over and over again, and it just kind of feels like one continuous song. Okay, so the mall is coming down. I just want to... I can't spin that way to watch it, so I'm just going to kind of... Wait a minute, my door just shut. And it open. It's crazy. Dude, my door. Dude. Oh, come on. Stupid door is not even working. I don't have any buttons pushed. I don't know. Anyway. I hope you enjoyed that flight. It was interesting for me and relaxing. That's what I use this for. It's relaxing. So anyway, I hope you come back for more later. Fly a different plane later. Maybe I'll pull out that big Super Stallion and turn that thing on for you. But until then, happy trails.